Alright, so let's get this thing off my plate. I just finished The Walking Dead final season last month, and I have to say, it was overall pretty decent. Way better than the third season. It was pretty well done except for some things I would want in the game. But I'll cut Telltale some slack. Ooh. I'm not here to review the whole game or anything like that. Instead, I just want to nitpick a particular part in the game that flipped me the fuck off. The Clementine gets bit scene. So basically in the game, oh yeah, spoiler alert.
No fucking shit!
Clementine ends up getting bit after she tries to climb a small mountain. She was previously slashed on the leg by Minerva, who was fucking crazy, and her and AJ ended up getting trapped in the barn. In the end, AJ lops off her leg and they live happily ever after. But wait, something isn't right about this ending. You know why? Because this ending makes no sense. I'm going to explain, but let's rewind the clock back a little bit. You see, in the Walking Dead universe, getting bit is usually a death sentence, unless you get bit on a limb such as an arm or a leg. If you get bit on one of these areas and chop off the limb, you'll be perfectly fine if you don't die from blood loss or shock. This is consistent with the two universes, the comic book and game universe and the TV show universe. In the first season of The Walking Dead, you play as Lee Everett, who at the end, another spoiler alert for a 7-year-old game, gets bit and dies. But it isn't that simple. You actually have a choice to cut off the limb and continue on your journey. But it doesn't matter in the end since Lee dies anyway. So the question is, why did Lee die? I think we can come up with some solid hypothesis that Lee possibly died from blood loss and the infected wound, not the bite itself. We can also make a guess that the group or Lee himself got to the bite too late and had already got into the bloodstream. From that, we can assume that Lee possibly got the limb lopped off a few hours after he got bit, and thus we can assume that you can't wait around with the bite. You have to get it cut off as soon as you can. Now, let's jump forward in time. In the new season, Clem gets bit on the leg, a limb. Okay, so Clem is in the okay section because she was bit on a limb, so she can easily survive without that. All they need to do is cut it off immediately.
Come on. We can't stay here.
Oh, wait, what? Oh, what are you doing?
Keep moving forward.
Okay, so we're just gonna keep on running?
Forward.
Not even considering it? Just keep running? Okay then. We then jump to a few hours later where her and AJ get trapped in the barn and she's looking noticeably sicker. From this point, she's dead. There's nothing to really talk about from here. From what we know, once you start showing symptoms of the virus, you're basically fucking dead. There's nothing to really talk about here. From what we know, once you start showing symptoms, the virus has entered your bloodstream and you're just fucking dead.
What you doing there, goofball?
What the fuck?
Okay, so this doesn't make any sense. Clem was clearly showing signs of the infection, with her skin turning gray and her eyes kind of taking a sickly color, similar to how Lee's look. So from that fact, we can recognize that once you start showing these symptoms, there's no continuing. You're already dead. So why exactly does Clem live through this? In fact, let's look at this a little bit more. So, from what we know, we gotta cut the limb off almost immediately, implying that the virus doesn't automatically go into the bloodstream. It works kind of like a cancer, where basically it kind of stays in one spot until you cut that shit off. This could have been the reason as to why Lee didn't survive, even if you hacked off his limb. But here's the thing, if you don't hack Lee's limb off, Lee actually starts showing signs of the virus a lot sooner than later. For example, he actually passes out on the ladder and almost falls to his death if you keep the arm. This could actually be a sign that Lee wasn't fated to die from the bite and that Lee possibly saved himself and instead died from blood loss, and or getting the wound infected by the amount of zombies that he killed trying to get to Clementine. Now, let's compare his circumstances to Clementine's circumstances. Now, Clementine got bitten right after the event at the bridge, signifying that she was infected right there, right?
What is
wrong?
You see, Clementine didn't actually get infected at this part of the game. She got infected here. You see, Minnie has killed tons of zombies with that axe alone, and it's shown in the comics, which the game takes place in by the way, that the bite isn't the only way you can get infected with the virus. In fact, we don't even need to look into the comics, every fucking disease works this way. So basically, Clementine got infected at this point with the axe, and by the time they reached the barn, she was looking pretty bad. So let's just say she's not infected, even though she shows clear signs that she is. AJ picks up the axe and chops off her leg, saving her, right? Yeah, so AJ is using the axe that Minnie used to kill off multiple zombies, meaning that the dried up and wet blood would have still fucked up Clementine. So let's just compare Lee's chances of survival to Clementine's, and yeah, Lee had more of a chance to survive than Clementine, hands down, no question. This bitch should be dead. Only reason why they kept her alive was just to appease the fans, and the only reason why they had her get bit in the first place was to add some dramatic tension to the episode that would have had us in tear ducts. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but I'd like to see some consistency, okay?